Praise the Lord. My name is Evangelist Seth OMONDI Olale from Nairobi, Kenya. Today I want to talk to you about certain prophecies that are now about to start falling upon the face of the earth as we enter into the end times, and Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is coming back soon, and we are also about to see the imminent rise of the beast or the Antichrist of Revelation chapter 13 and Revelation chapter 17. I want to talk to you about the prophecies of Shane Warren. Shane Warren is a powerful American pastor whom God has used in the area of prophecy, and God is using him in a mighty way. In about 10 years ago, Shane Warren gave a powerful prophecy about the coming downfall of the United States dollar. He was shown a vision by God in which he saw the American dollar was going to fall down and it was going to become worthless. And I believe that that vision that Shane Warren was given about 10 or 11 years ago is now about to start happening in the year 2024 as we now make the final journey into the year of 2025, when the entire world is going to go into a great catastrophe and economic disaster around the world. In that vision and prophecy that Shane Warren posted on YouTube 11 years ago, Shane Warren says that he was sitting inside his house in the living room and he was watching the television. All of a sudden, the television screen transformed into a vision in which now God was showing him about a prophetic event that was going to come in the future concerning the American dollar. In that vision that God was showing him through the television screen that he was watching, Shane Warren says that he saw the news reporter in the television. The television journalist was reporting that there was a very strange weather phenomenon. It was like a tornado or a powerful weather storm, and instead of raining water or raindrops, it was actually raining worthless American dollars were falling from the sky. It was as if there was a hurricane blowing all over the United States of America, and this hurricane was causing American dollars to fall from the sky, and all the American dollars, the greenbacks, the American dollar, were all worthless. So the television reporter was reporting on a breaking news that there is a strange weather phenomena across America, and there's a weather storm or a hurricane that had hit America, and instead of snow or water falling from the sky, it was actually worthless American dollars that were falling from the sky in this powerful weather storm. And the American journalist, television journalist, actually he went and picked from the ground a bunch of worthless American dollars, and he was now showing the television viewers that instead of rain or water, it is actually raining worthless American dollars all over America. And then in the same dream, Shane Warren was shown that President Putin had just been re-elected, and President Putin and other world leaders from the Middle East, including Egypt, China, India, and I believe Turkey was there, and Saudi Arabia was also there in that meeting. They were now gathered inside a conference room, and the Prince of Saudi Arabia the king or the leader of Saudi Arabia announced that he was going to dump the American dollar. Remember that this vision was shown to Shane Warren about 11 or 12 years ago, and it was actually posted on YouTube. I've tried searching for this particular video that Shane Warren posted on YouTube, but I've not been able to get it. But I remember the details. I believe that God was showing Shane Warren the rise of the BRICS, because he said in that vision 11 years ago that President Putin had just been re-elected, and then after that he saw the king of Saudi Arabia, or the leader of the Saudi Arabia, and President Putin and other world leaders from the Middle East, China, India, and Brazil. They were sitting, and many other countries were meeting in a conference, and they were planning of how to ditch the American dollar and start selling Petro using other world currencies. And Russia and China were also in that meeting. I believe that 11 years ago we had nothing called the BRICS. The BRICS never existed 10 or 11 years ago. As I was saying, about 10 years ago, we had nothing called the BRICS. So I believe that Shane Warren was being given a prophecy about the BRICS, and we are seeing the exact things that are happening. President Putin was re-elected as the president of the Russian Federation in March 2024, and then just recently, during the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, we saw many world leaders from Saudi Arabia, China, India, BRICS, and many other countries from the Middle East, Africa, Asia, and South America were gathered in St. Petersburg last week in this month of June, early June 2024, and we saw President Putin and China. They were now making plans to ditch the American dollar, and even Saudi Arabia was in that meeting, and many other countries, and they are now all planning to ditch the American dollar. In fact, just not coincidentally, but I know this is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. This past Sunday, on June 9th, Saudi Arabia and the contract between Saudi Arabia and America of the petrodollar contract of 50 years ceased to be to exist. Remember that in 1974, Saudi Arabia and America, they formed a contract in which America was supposed to protect Saudi Arabia and support Saudi Arabia with military and security arrangements, and also supply Saudi Arabia with weapons from the United States, in agreement that Saudi Arabia was going to allow the entire world to use only the American dollar, which is now called the petrodollar, to buy oil from Saudi Arabia. And this was the agreement between America and Saudi Arabia, and many other countries around the world adopted this system, which was what led to OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Producing Countries. So from 1974 up to 2024, that is 50 years, and this past week on June, in fact, this week on June the 9th of 2024, the contract between Saudi Arabia and America about the petrodollar, in which Saudi Arabia was only allowed to sell its petrol to all the countries around the world using the American dollar, that contract ceased to exist this week. And at the same time, we saw the St. Peter's Economic Forum. Many world leaders and business executives from around the world were in Moscow, and they were all planning to ditch the American dollar. And also there was also talk of World War III and the use of nuclear weapons by Russia against America and NATO. So this is the prophecy that God gave Shane Warren about 11 years ago that is now coming to pass. In October 2024, the BRIC nations, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Ethiopia, and I believe Argentina is supposed to be there, and many other world leaders from other countries are going to be meeting in they are going to be meeting in Russia. And there is a big BRICS conference that is going to take place in Russia in October 2024. And that is when they are going to make the final plans to ditch the American dollar and all the trillions of the American dollars that have been printed for many decades. All those money, American dollars, are going to become worthless. And they are going to be sent back to America, and we are going to see America going into a massive hyperinflation, and America is going to be bankrupt overnight. The same things that happened in Germany before World War II, when the German Reichsmark was useless, and people used to carry the German Reichsmark on wheelbarrows to go and buy a piece of bread. So that is what is going to happen to the American dollar once the BRIC nations and other countries around the world dump the American dollar. That is now where the world is heading to, and that is why America is trying desperately to provoke Russia to start World War III, so that America can write off all those debts that America owes to the world. The American dollar is actually made from worthless paper. The American dollar is made from worthless paper. So this is how America has been able to conquer the world. The American dollar is made from wood pulp or paper that is obtained from wood. And then it is given texture and resilience. They even use parts of marijuana fiber and cotton fiber to print and make the American dollar, the papers that they use to print the American dollar. So the America has become a great nation just by printing worthless papers which they have used to conquer the world. Actually, America has conquered the world just by printing the United States dollar using worthless paper and ink and graphics. This is how America has become a great nation. And now the world is heading to a place whereby the printed American dollar that they have printed in their trillions and distributed across the world, the entire world is now getting ready to ditch the American dollar. And once the American dollar has been ditched, Americans are going to be in serious hot soup. The printing of the American dollar is the biggest scam in the entire history of the world, because we have got only one nation which has got the power to print its dollar. The printing of the American dollar is the biggest scam in the entire history of the world, because we have got only one nation in the world that has dominated and oppressed other nations by printing worthless paper money from mere paper, which is they add ink onto this paper and they print it by the trillions, and then they use their money to dominate and control the entire world. No other country or nation or kingdom in the world has done this. No other country or nation or kingdom in the entire history of the world has done what America has done. because Babylon America, has been printing worthless paper money using ink, computer graphics, and then the money is printed and they add security features, and then they dye it with green dye, and then they cut it into pieces, and then it is exported all over the world, where America buys billions and trillions of exports from other countries which work hard to get their products they export to America, but America only does the printing of the US dollar using paper money and ink. You can see this lady is now adding ink to the printing press, and this is how they print the American dollar. They print it out of worthless paper money, which is made from pulp wood, and they add all colors of ink and computer graphics, and they add security features. And this is how the American dollar is made and printed. So BRIC nations, led by Russia, China, India, Brazil, and South Africa, and even Saudi Arabia, and other Arab countries, and many other countries from Africa, and Asia, and South America, are now about to ditch the American dollar, which is actually the biggest scam in the entire history of the world. This is just money that is made from thin air, and then they dye it, and they cut it into pieces, and they use it to import very expensive minerals and products from around the world. Therefore, starting the year 2024, the world is now planning to dump the American dollar, and the greenback, or the mighty American dollar, is going to be worthless, and the world is now going to move into the digital money. When the American dollar collapses and all the dollars, when the American dollar collapses, once the BRIC nations have dumped the American dollar, once Saudi Arabia has dumped the American dollar, because actually in June 9th, this Sunday, June 9th of 2024, Saudi Arabia said that they are not going to renew their contract with the United States of America, so that the Saudi Arabia can only be selling their petrol using the American dollar. So we are now seeing the literal demise and the final fall of the American dollar, and the world is going to move into a different global economic system. And I believe that the American banking system is going to collapse, and the entire world banking system is going to collapse, and the world is going to move into a digital currency, which will be based on mobile money, digital money, like MPESA. So the people in America are going to suffer so much, because they have been used to easy living, where they use the American dollar to buy property all over the world, to buy businesses, and to buy products, cheap products that are manufactured in China and Asia, and they also buy raw materials from Africa using the printed American dollar. So now what happens once the entire world rejects the American dollar? It means that America is going to be a third world country, just like Zimbabwe, and Americans are going to suffer great poverty, homelessness, and joblessness, because they are not used to competing on a fair ground like other countries around the world. So this is what is now coming upon the United States of America. As I was saying, Americans are not used to competing fairly with other countries from around the world. All they do is they print the American dollar, they pack them in boxes, and then they export it. The only thing America does is export the American dollar, which they use to buy trillions of other products from around the world. So beginning 2024, this is now going to come to an end, and Americans are going to be forced to work hard like any other country around the world. There will be no more free products that they are going to import from China, Asia, South America, Asia and Africa, and Europe. They are going to be forced to work hard like other Africans and Asians and South American countries. So this is now why World War III must start, because America is not going to see its power and financial hegemony and its military hegemony being challenged by BRICS. This is why the globalists now want to start World War III, because America is in great debt. America has been printing worthless dollars and exporting it around the world, and now America is in debt of over $35 trillion, and America owes trillions. America owes trillions of dollars to China, Japan, and Saudi Arabia, and other Gulf oil-rich nations in the Middle East, which they cannot repay because they no longer want to deal with the American dollar, which is worthless, and America is always imposing economic sanctions against other countries. We saw that America confiscated over $300 billion from Russia, which were deposited in American and European banks. This is money that Russia had sold oil to other European nations, which was confiscated by America, and this really scared other countries from around the world, especially countries like Saudi Arabia, China, India, and Brazil. So and even United Arab Emirates and other economic powers like Turkey. So now they have decided to dump the American dollar, and they are going to deal with the BRICS currency, which is going to be based on gold and silver. They are going to peg the sale of oil to ounce of gold, and that is how they are going to conduct their trade. So once this starts happening in 2024, as we move to 2025, America is going to become a third world country like Sri Lanka or Venezuela. I want you to go and read the book of Ezekiel chapter 7 and the book of James chapter 5 and the book of Revelation chapter 6 about the second and the third seal. The second seal was the red horse, which causes war around the world. That is World War III. And then the third seal was the black horse, which causes economic collapse and food shortages and famine and the collapse of global economy. That is the black horse of Revelation chapter 6, which is the third seal. So go and read Ezekiel chapter 7 about the collapse of the global economic system that is coming in our lifetime. I believe it is going to start happening in the year 2024, once the entire world, led by BRICS, dumps the American dollar, and then we are going to see rich men wailing and howling all over the world, as it is prophesied in the book of James chapter 7, which warns the rich people of the world that they have fattened themselves for the great slaughter in the last days. Once their wealth is taken, once the American dollar collapses, and many banks across the world are going to collapse and shut down, many billionaires and multimillionaires and even the middle class are going to lose all their bank deposits that have been deposited in American banks and other banks around the world. Because the entire world is now moving to the BIS system, the central bank digital currency, which is going to be based on the mobile phone, like MPESA. But this is going to be digital money that is controlled by the central bank, and which will be governed by the Illuminati and the World Bank and the International Bank of Settlements. So this is now where the world is heading to, into the digital cashless society, the central bank digital currency, which is going to be token money deposited on your mobile phone. There will be no more cash that is printed or used. Cash or printed money is going to be removed from across the face of the world. So this is where the entire world is heading to, central bank digital currency that is going to be controlled by the central bank in your country. They will tax you in real time. They'll be knowing and tracking all your financial transactions and everything you buy or purchase, or all the payments that you are paid will be deducted directly from your mobile phone once the central bank digital currency come into effect around the world. Once the American dollar collapses, we are going to see great riots and looting all over America. Because America, they have not been used to hard life. This is why I'm telling foreigners who are in America to start fleeing and migrating from America before the year 2025. 2024 is your final year. Once the American dollar collapses, you are going to see great riots and looting all over America. There will be great violence, and the American economy is going to come to a standstill. Because once the American dollar crashes and the Americans will have no money in their banks, in their pockets, and we are going to see great violence and looting, BLM, that is burning, looting, and murder. That is what is coming to the great Babylon, America, beginning 2025, when everything goes down. You need to watch also the prophecies of the Master's Voice of Prophecy, Sister Celestial Revival, about the year 2025, which she has given a prophecy. That is when all the wheels are going to come out, and we're going to see great rioting and violence and confusion across America. So once the American dollar is taken out, we are going to see great destruction, death, bloodshed, and finally America is going to go into a civil war. Because remember, I've told you that there is also a political earthquake that is about to hit America once Donald Trump is prevented from running for the American presidency. His supporters are going to erupt in great violence, and this is what is coming across the entire nation of Babylon, America. It is actually a form of judgment from God because of his displeasure against Babylon, America. Actually, what we saw during the Black Lives Matter riots and looting is just a picnic compared to what is going to happen in America beginning the year 2025. Black Lives Matter riots and looting was a picnic on a Sunday afternoon. What is coming to America beginning 2025 is real violence and real chaos, where people are going to be armed with guns, machine guns, and grenades. And people are going to be actually fighting each other in a civil war, beginning the year 2025 as we enter the year 2026. This is what is coming to the United States of America. America has caused civil wars in other countries by overthrowing their governments and assassinating their leaders. And this has caused many nations across the world, in Africa, Asia, South America, and other islands, to go into civil war, and great bloodshed has been shed. This is also the same thing we are now seeing in Ukraine, after America operatives overthrew the legitimate and democratically elected leader of Ukraine in 2014 under Obama. They overthrew the government of Ukraine, and this is what led to the civil war in Ukraine, and it forced Russia to enter and invade Ukraine when they realized that America wanted to station their nuclear missiles and military bases inside Ukraine. So what America has done to other nations like Iraq, Libya, including the way they overthrew the government of Chile in 1973, when American warplanes bombed the presidential palace of the president of Chile, and he was killed in a military coup sponsored by the American government and the CIA. These are the things that are now going to start happening against Babylon, America. Because the Bible is very clear that whatever somebody plants, they have to reap it. In the world, they call it karma. Whatever you plant, you have to reap. God is not mocked. So America has planted violence and death and bloodshed and military coups and internal strife across the entire world. So this is now the thing that God is going to allow to go back to America once the American dollar collapses. That is why I'm telling as many people as possible that you should get out of America before the year 2025, because America is going to go into a full-blown civil war once the American dollar has been removed. Today, when I'm making this video, is 14th of June 2024. This is the beginning of the Sodom and Gomorrah parade all over the world. This is another thing that is going to cause God to bring judgment upon Babylon, America. The Sodom and Gomorrah agenda, which they celebrate in June, beginning June of 14th up to June 2028. This is another great iniquity and great sin that God is going to bring judgment upon Babylon, America. They have caused great violence upon children through abortion, and also by the Sodom and Gomorrah agenda across the world. They have deceived the entire world, and this is one reason why God is going to cause great judgment to come against Babylon, America in these last days. Remember that also Sodom and Gomorrah agenda is celebrated in Israel, in the Middle East, in Tel Aviv. And God is also going to allow a great war to happen in Israel, and the false Jews who are in Israel, they are all going to be sent out of the nation of Israel. That is God's land. So this is the Sodom and Gomorrah agenda of the beast of Revelation chapter 13 and the beast of Revelation chapter 17. So we see Edom and Esau on the screen. Remember, this is Esau on the screen. That is the progenitor of the rebellion against God. Esau is now the one heading this satanic agenda across the world. So this is the Sodom and Gomorrah agenda that is now taking place beginning 14th June 2024 all the way to June 28, 2024. The Sodom and Gomorrah agenda, they are given 2 weeks to celebrate their satanic lifestyle, while Mother's Day are only given 1 day across the world. And we know that all men and women were born by women across the world. And Mother's Day are only given 1 day. Father's Day is only given 1 day. But the Sodom and Gomorrah agenda is given 2 weeks across the world. So this nonsense, God is going to bring it to an end very soon. We're going to see the judgment of God falling upon cities and upon nations through use of military war, nuclear weapons, pandemics, famine, and even other acts that I don't want to mention, which are all mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and Leviticus, chapter 28, where God says that you are going to flee before your enemies once you disobey the Lord God and His commandments. This is Sodom, Tel Aviv in Israel. That is why I told you that this nation was not created by God. This was created by the Illuminati and the Freema, SONS. This is Tel Aviv in Israel. We can see the Sodom and Gomorrah agenda being celebrated right in the middle of God's land. These are not the true Jews. These are the false Jews, the Ashkenaz, ZI. These are the false Jews, the Sodom and Gomorrah agenda. And God is going to drive these people out of the land of Israel. These are not the true Jews. God would not have created such an evil nation to blaspheme His own name. So this is not the true Israel. The true Israelites are still scattered across the face of the earth. This is the Sodom and Gomorrah agenda, which is now going around the world. If you read Revelation chapter 11, verse 8, the city of Jerusalem is called Sodom and Egypt, because this nation was not created by God. It was created by the devil and the Freema, S-O-N-S. This is Tel Aviv in Israel. These are the modern-day Sodomites and the people of Gomorrah. So anybody who says that God created that land in 1948 is a liar. The theology that we have been taught for many decades, that the nation of Israel that was created in 1948 is the land of God, the true Jews. These are not the true Jews. The true Jews have not been revealed. These are the Sodomites and the people of Gomorrah. That is why the Bible calls them in the book of Revelation chapter 11 verse 8. Jerusalem is called Sodom and Egypt. And God would not have created another Sodom and Gomorrah to blaspheme his name and to bring blasphemy against his word. So these are not the true Jews. The true Jews, as I told you, are the black Americans and the Bantus who are scattered across the world, across the four corners of the world. The black Americans and the Bantus of Africa. And I believe that many other tribes also in Africa were the true Jews, because the true Jews were blacks. They were blacks, according to the book of Job, chapter 30, verse 30, and also according to the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5 to 6. Solomon says that my skin is black. And also there's many other evidence across the world, across the word of God, that the original Jews were blacks. So the people that we see occupying Jerusalem today, these are the Gentiles. That's why Jesus said in the book of Luke chapter 21 and Matthew 24 that Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles until the time of the end, until the time of the Gentiles comes to an end. So these are not the true Jews. These are the Ashkenazi, the false Jews. The Ashkenazi are from the line of Japheth, the son of Noah, and Japheth was a Gentile. The true Jews came from Abraham, who was the father of the true Jews and the true Hebrews. The present-day Europeans who occupy Israel, these are the Ashkenazi who came from Japheth, and Japheth was the father of the Gentile nations. If you read Genesis chapter 10, that is where the Ashkenazi Jews came from, the false Ashkenazi false Jews came from. They were Europeans from the Khazarian kingdom. The original Jews were from Shem, who was the progenitor and the ancestor of Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and the original Hebrews. The true Jews came from Shem and not from Japheth, where the Ashkenazi Jews, the false Jews, came from. Jesus says in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9, that there are those who call themselves Jews, but they are not Jews. They belong to the synagogue of Satan. The same thing also Jesus says in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 9, that there are those who call themselves Jews, but they are not Jews. They belong to the synagogue of Satan. So these ones who are occupying the land of God today, these are actual Gentiles. The original Hebrew Israelites are still scattered across the world. So God is going to allow a very devastating war to happen in the Middle East. And this is how God is going to purge the Middle East with fire and remove all the Gentiles. And then after that, that is how God is going to send back the original Jews, who are the original children of Abraham, to go back to the promised land. So this is what is now going to happen in the Middle East. A great war is coming in the Middle East, something that God has also shown me in dreams and visions, that a world war is coming across the Middle East, and Israel is going to be cleansed with fire. All this nonsense you see on the streets are going to be removed, and God is going to purge the Middle East using fire once the Arabs and the Israelis start fighting, and with all type of deadly weapons, and God is going to purge his land by fire. And then after that, that is when God is going to send back the original Hebrew Israelites, who are the Bantus of Africa, the blacks in Sub-Saharan Africa, the Negroes who are scattered across the world, or the 4 islands of the world, and the Black Americans, and the Native Indians, and the blacks in West Indies and other parts of the world. According to Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11, they were scattered across the 4 corners of the world, the black Hebrew Israelites and the Red Indians. So God bless you and God keep you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.